What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today I wanted to take a look at some cut candidates. There was a cut candidates list put out by U Stadium, and I want to talk about guys that the Jets could potentially target from this list. Before we get started today, I wanted to mention the Talkin' Jets draft party. We had a banger episode of Talkin' Jets last night. If you don't know, every Tuesday night we do the live stream from 8 to 10 p.m. We got a couple new shows going on over on that channel. So be sure to check that out and make sure to get tickets to the draft party on Long Island at the main event in Farmingdale. It's going to be a blast. Okay, so everyone's pretty much well aware that what's going to have to happen here for the New York Jets. They're going to have to get aggressive in order to, or creative, maybe both aggressive and creative in order to have success in 2024. And looking at the crop of free agents, there's some interesting names. But what about the guys who are cut candidates? And we talk a lot about guys on the New York Jets who are cut candidates. For example, CJ Uzomah is pretty high up on most people's list. Laken Tomlinson's another name that gets batted around a lot. So there's definitely options for the New York Jets to move on and create cap space. So that's ways to do it. But other teams are going to cut guys. So there's going to be more names to the potential free agent crop that the Jets will be looking at in a month or so. And I wanted to take a look at some of those cut candidates, again, courtesy of U Stadium. Nick Spano put it out saying we compiled the list of players who could be potential trade or cut candidates based on their contracts, ability to get out without a major dead money hit, new staff and or performance. Clearly all of these players listed won't be moved, but a good amount of them could see restructuring trades and eventually let go. Just wanted to put that that first part out there. We will start with the quarterbacks. On the quarterback side of things, of this list, the most intriguing to me is Taylor Heineke. He played in 5 games this past year, had 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 74.7 passer rating. In 2021, he started 15 games for the Washington football team at the time, now Washington Commanders. 20 touchdowns, 15 picks, an 85.9 rating. Is he a star? No. The Jets are going to be in the backup quarterback market, and I think Heineke is a good backup quarterback spot starter. So that's add him to the list of names, put him in the Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew tier of quarterbacks. Then if you move down, you got some names for the running back room. Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Joe Mixon, Naheem Hines. Aaron Jones is the name that I want to focus on from this grouping because of the relationship with Aaron Rodgers. This is an Aaron Rodgers teammate that I would be very interested in. Again, it's dependent on cost. I don't necessarily know if I buy that the Packers would be moving on, but it could free up some significant money for them. He had 656 yards, 2 touchdowns on just 142 carries. He missed a lot of time, but when he came back from injury, oh my God, was he spectacular down the stretch. Over the team's final 5 games, so 3 regular season games and 2 playoff games, he went 5 straight games with over 100 rushing yards. Very active as a pass catcher, good in pass protection, which is something that no Jets running backs really were able to do well last year. So that would be someone that I would be interested in as a former Aaron Rodgers teammate. Again, I don't really know how realistic or likely that one is, but a fun one to talk about. For the wide receiver list, there's a lot of names here, but like Marquez Valdez-Scantling is going to stand out because it's a former Rodgers teammate. That one wouldn't really move the needle a whole lot for me. On this list of guys who are what I would say is semi-realistic, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Cooks, DeAndre Hopkins, those are 3 guys that stand out. Sutton is a trade target we've talked a lot about for the New York Jets. Brandon Cooks has been in the league a long time, but still a productive receiver no matter where he ends up. He's bounced around the league a ton, but is a quality number 2 option. And DeAndre Hopkins, yes, he's up there in age. I like him better than some of the other veteran wide receiver guys on the market. And he was someone the Jets probably should have taken a look last year at over guys like Odell Beckham and Dalvin Cook. So while DeAndre is not prime DeAndre anymore, he still has a lot left in the tank as he was pretty productive in Tennessee last year in a really bad offense. As for the tight ends, we'll skip over. Like, I don't think the Jets are going to be active looking to sign, but notice CJ Uzama's name falls there as a cut candidate. On the offensive line, I mean, names that I'd relatively be interested in: Ted Karras, veteran center; Mitch Morse, veteran center; and Morgan Moses, offensive lineman. He could play left tackle. He could play right tackle. He was with the Jets a few years ago, played right tackle, then spent the last 2 years in Baltimore playing at right tackle, and he's done really well there. He can play on the left side. I'd be comfortable playing him at right tackle if he was actually cut. I don't think the Baltimore Ravens are likely to do that, but if they do, hell yeah, sign me up for some Morgan Moses at right tackle. Even at his age, is still extremely productive player. Edge, I don't see them being very active in that market, although you do see John Franklin Myers' name there, where it says $3.9 million post June 1. I think he's probably more likely a restructure candidate. On the interior defensive line, Folu Fadakasi, former Jet. He was with Robert Saleh his first year in 2021. He did not re-sign. He got a bag, actually, from the Jaguars. Has been relatively underwhelming, but they could use, if it's a relatively cheap interior defensive lineman, the Jets are going to need help on the interior. Maybe a guy like BJ Hill, former Giant, has just been productive, wherever he's been. Spent the last couple of years in Cincinnati. Good interior player. And then finally, we could skip over linebacker, although they do have linebacker and corner, although they do have CJ Mosley on here. I don't think the Jets will be using the post-June 1 cut. Maybe they restructure him, but I don't think they are flat out cutting him. He's still too productive of a player to do that. At safety, Jamal Adams is the first name on the list. Absolutely freaking not. I want zero part of Jamal Adams. Julian Love's a player that I like. He was a free agent last year. Spent a few years with the Giants, played last year in Seattle as well with Jamal Adams. Julian Love's probably a better player than Jamal is at this point in his career. But that's a relatively lower end, not low end, but like a middle tier free agent. It's not necessarily a big name to replace a Jordan Whitehead. Or if you wanted to go more of the bigger name, Kevin Byard is a name that jumps out. He was traded from the Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles this past season. So if they decide to move on, maybe that would be a name that you could take a look at. But on this list, those were the guys that stood out to me that were, again, twofold: realistic and guys that I would actually be interested in. Let me know your thoughts on either the guys I mentioned, some of the other names that were on this list. Do you want the Jets to sign them? Should the Jets be interested in stuff like that? Let me know in the comments. I'm Matt. I'll catch you next time.